Spirit guides, guardian angels, and ancestors. In this section, I will explain what a medium and a psychic do, and no, it's definitely not just about contacting the dead and looking into the future. It's about understanding time and space and how to define time. We will also talk about your intuition and instinct and how you can use both to improve your life. And then, of course, we'll talk about your spirit guides, guardian angels, and ancestors and how you can get their help whenever you want. Let's first deal with time and space. I read this not so long ago. According to a new controversial theory, everything around us is intricately planned, and each and everyone's destiny has already been decided. The new theory suggests that time doesn't pass and that everything is ever present. In fact, time is not linear as we've been thinking all along, and everything around us is ever present. Now, firstly, this isn't a theory, at least not in my world. It's also not new. This view has been the basis of reincarnation for ages. The statement is also not controversial. It's just not been proven by science until now. Dr. Bradford Scow, an associated professor of philosophy at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, said that if we were to look down on the universe, we would actually observe time and events spreading out in all directions. Now that makes complete sense to me. That is what I see myself doing when I'm invited to do a psychic reading for a client. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity indicates that space and time are in fact part of an intricate four-dimensional structure where everything that's occurred has its own coordinates in space-time. The same holds for the present and for the future. This means that the past, present, and future all exists at the same time. It also means that there's nothing linear about time. There's no past, present, or future because the space-time coordinates make moments unique. Time doesn't flow. Time just is, and it is now. On a microscopic level, there's no flow of time because you deal with these moments that all have their own coordinates on the space-time continuum. When you deal with atoms, it doesn't matter in which direction you measure progress. You'll get the same results whether it's backwards or forwards. On a macroscopic level, however, time does give the appearance of flowing. You cannot unbreak an egg, and you cannot reverse the seasons. That's how our human mind perceives what we can see. But we ignore what we cannot see with the naked eye because of ignorance and the limitations of our human minds. Here's a question for you. How do you define time? What is time? Is it a frozen moment on the clock? Is it something between the start and the end of an experience, which will make time linear? Compare a minute of meditation to a minute of someone yelling at you. Which minute is the longest? Such an experience will create the impression of linear time, but that is because you add the person's experience to the definition. Or is time circular, like the seasons or a clock? This would imply that time is circular and therefore unending. However, there's an end to one season, which is the beginning of the next season, even if you can't pinpoint the exact moment when one season turns into the next. Or maybe time is the measurement between the start and the end of a change. If this is the case, then if we cannot see change, there's no time. But what if one person can see change and another one says there was no change? And when do things ever completely stop changing? Does that sound right? It makes more and more sense to say that time is not separate from space. The time-space continuum consists of length, width, height, and time. If you look at your life, then some experiences stand out more in your memory than others, which makes this continuum credible. There's a beautiful Arab proverb from the 12th century. Man fears time, but time fears the pyramids. Let me explain this proverb. Time, especially linear time, is a construct that makes this life and this world easier for us to understand. It gives us a frame of reference and helps us to understand cause and effect. However, life is not about getting the past and the present and the future into neat little rows. Life is about having experiences and gaining wisdom. Time is one tool that helps us to create the experiences. We spend too much time pondering on the past. We experience guilt, regret, and other emotions about things we cannot change. We are concerned about the future, which hasn't happened yet, and which always turns out to be quite manageable once we get to the future we feared. We spend too much time panicking about what is still coming, when the future is a combination of destiny, which you can't do anything about, and creation. You consciously create with your thoughts and are in charge of those thoughts all the time. All this focus on the past and future prevents us from enjoying the moment. The pyramids that are referred to in the proverb represent what is far bigger, far deeper, and more powerful than anything on earth, including time. The pyramids represent an extraordinarily strong energy and reminders of the presence of another civilization. The origin of the pyramids is a mystery that we will probably not resolve in this life. The proverb reminds us that we need to spend more time on respecting what is represented by the pyramids and less time on panicking about time and the future. The pyramids are older than human memory. They represent history that is part of who we are today. They contain miracles. How were they built and why? The pyramids represent magic and reminds us that we are specks in the history of this planet.